All right. Sorry about that. You said no sound. Thank you for letting me know, because I'm setting it up a little differently. So I'm going to have to go through that whole spiel again. Sorry, guys, on the line call. We're going to have to do that again. I had to turn on my actual microphone because the line call is interfering with the stream. My voice goes to you guys, but it doesn't go to YouTube. So here we go. We're going to start that again. The video that we're doing today is different than what we were doing in the past. You should be able to hear me now. I'm seeing I can't hear anything. Confirm with me in chat before I just go talking again. All good now. Perfect. All right. So we're doing things a little bit differently. There's a lot of information flying around the game about the requirements for the new keep levels, and a lot of people have different opinions about the difficulty to progress in the game. It's always been a difficult game to get past, like keep 25 or so. It gets more and more difficult as we go. But right now, with some of the new things on the horizon, we're seeing some challenges that we haven't seen before. So I thought it would be really interesting to see the perspectives of different players that invest differently into the game. We'll discuss what we foresee to be our personal challenges in progressing based on our different styles of play and our investments into the game. And we're going to try to offer some suggestions along the way that might help you if you're in the same situation. As we go through, I'm going to guide us through the discussion because it's tough to do with a couple different people. It's not just me talking. So I'll try to guide us through. But if you guys have questions in chat, then I will look for some good times to voice a few of them, because the guys in the line call aren't necessarily watching chat like I am. So I'll try to find good periods where they can ask some questions if you do have specific ones for them as well. Keep in mind that we don't have all the answers. We have only our perspectives, and the information that we have right now about Keep 40 and so on is pretty limited. There are quite a few changes that have been made since beta. There are curveballs that no one was expecting. As an example, the general power requirement for the level 1 of the victory column, I think in beta, was 2 generals at 2.5 million power. And with the release, it's actually now, you're required to have 2 generals at 5.8 million power. So you never know what to expect, and things can change at every moment, but we'll do our best to answer any questions that you might have. First, I'm going to ask each person to quickly introduce themselves, and if they're willing to, they could give their estimated VIP level or their budget on the game or whatever, so that people that are watching might have an idea if they fit into that category, so you really know who to listen to more. And if you don't want to get into specifics, guys, on the line call, you can just state that you spend more or less than the previous person. That's fine too. All right. So myself, over the course of, how long have we been playing OG Aydle? Like 5 years? 6? I don't even know. I've lost count.
I think roughly that long, yeah.
Yeah. So in that time, myself, I have spent maybe a couple $100. I'm VIP 14. That's mostly just through the natural points that you get every single day. It accumulates. I'm VIP 14, and the amount of time that it'll take me to get to VIP 15, I don't even know if I'll still be playing, because it's like another 3 years, 4 years, who knows. That's where I'm at. How about you, Aydle?
I should first say that most of your VIP level was actually my fault, because I bought you $100 Evony birthday present, remember?
I do remember that, yeah. That's factored into my spending. It's birthday presents, yeah.
But I spend probably roughly $25 a month is where I'm at. Earlier, I would spend more, especially on a night out. I'd come home and go a little pack crazy here or there, but for the last 2 years, it's been about an average of 25 a month for me.
Okay, and you, OG?
So I am like moments from VIP 17. I am what I would consider to be just a modest spender in the game, mid to upper level. My budget currently runs between about $125 and $200 a month. I have exceeded that. I've climbed the ladder on a couple of occasions, and when opportunities present themselves for like all-star speed packs, I've spent the $100 on those as well. One thing I will say about spending money in Evony is there's a right way to spend it, and there's sometimes not such a right way to spend it. So
True.
You don't always get the goal that you think you want long term. I did a lot of coining early that did not have necessarily VIP bonus levels to it. So that's probably why I'm just like, I'll be VIP 17 within like 48, 72 hours. That's how close I am right now. But I started very briefly on 55, went to 66, stayed on 66 until we transferred to 82 and been playing on an 82 cent. So I am a veteran of Age 1 Evony on the PC as well. Spent my fair share of money at that, but had no idea what I was doing back then.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, it's so true. Like you could spend a lot of money and you can get nowhere if you are not spending on the right things. And that's really what this video really helps with, right? I want to help people that are watching focus their attention on what we foresee to be some of the bigger challenges so that people aren't just throwing money away, they have a purpose to it. All right. So we have some information for the next round. We know some of the requirements for the keep levels and so on. We had a lot of that passed around through the beta. Some of it has changed. Some of it is more difficult than the past. I can click around here on the keep. It's going to be like enlarged like crazy. You're not going to like this, but I'm in landscape mode. So it's going to be, boom. So you can see that the victory column level 1 is required, and the resource requirements for Keep 36 are between 4.6 billion and 6.2 billion. And of course you need the wall speed level 35 as well. Let me just click that. Oh, I shouldn't click that. Look at that. So the resource cost, we always expected it to be extremely steep. I mean, that's the Evony way, right? It just gets more and more expensive to play. Some of the things that we didn't see coming were the newer building requirements and things like the general requirements for unlocking your victory column 1. Where is that thing? It's over here. So to unlock victory column 1, if I can somehow scroll down, I might not be able to in this mode. So let me see if I can override that and go back to normal. And let's take a look. Okay. So it says that we need to own 2 5.8 million and above power generals at the same time, in addition to some high resource costs and Holy Palace being at level 35. Now, okay, my screen is kind of weird. Now that is pretty intense. To get 5.8 million generals, it does cost, it not necessarily costs a lot of money, but it is going to be an extreme challenge for people that don't spend a lot of money. So we're going to talk about that in our next discussion, where we are going to give an outlook of where we are at in the game and how close we feel that we are to get to. I need to go into landscape here to get into the being able to do Keep 36. So I'll start off with myself. Right now, from just playing around with generals and with the dragons that I have and the equipment and the refining that I have, a lot of my gear is, the pieces are 440,000 power or so. I have my dragons that are all maxed. I've been working on specialties on a couple generals. I've got one general that is nearly complete, probably going to be complete the final 4th specialty in maybe a month, and beyond that I don't have a lot in terms of specialty. What I've noticed is I'm able to get my generals, which are highly refined, up to about 5.7, but to get from 5.7 to 5.8 I foresee to be an incredible challenge without spending money, because I don't spend a whole lot of money on this game. So the way that I see, I'm going to have an extreme challenge in overcoming that first hurdle, the 5.8 million power. I might not actually be able to do it without spending until I get my monarch level up to maybe 38 or 39. So that's one of my suggestions for people in the same boat. that are looking for ways to increase their monarch level or to increase their general power, you're going to need to increase your monarch level. There's not a lot of ways to increase your power on your equipment outside of purchasing the new stuff. And if you're not willing to spend a lot of money to purchase those new pieces of equipment, then your gear is going to cap out around 450,000 power, and you're not necessarily going to reach that 5.8 million threshold. So you might be like me. You might have to wait for Monarch gear to either be released by the devs, some new sets, or you're going to have to increase your Monarch level up to 38, 39, so that you get that extra 40,000 power on your generals when they level up. For me, that's going to be a super big challenge. I'm kind of hoping that something comes along, but the options are wait a very long time and grind it out, or just dive in and buy a couple pieces of plant nugget gear and hope for the best and try to work your 5.8. After 5.8, that's a different story. After Keep 36 is a different story, but that's where I'm at. How about you, Aydle? What do you think for Keep 36?
For me, one of my generals I'm able to get to 5.8 at right now, mostly because a few weeks ago I did cave, and when the Dawn of Civilization event came up, I bought that for $25. And I thought to myself, I'm pretty close to the next tier of Ekaterina's Garden, and I would really like that archer ring. So I did spend another, I think it's about $50 more to get to the next tier to unlock that ring. And I told myself I wasn't going to do that again, but now that we see these requirements, I'm realizing the only other way to get to Keep 36, quickly would be to spend another $80 to unlock the next Plantagenet item. And that way I can get two of my generals to 5.8. So for me, I'm willing to do that, to spend $80 twice for those two items. So I guess there's a little bit of a difference between your budget and mine, but I believe that I'm probably going to get there within about 2 weeks, I would say. Have my two generals unlocked, and then I can start working on upgrading my keep in the other buildings.
All right, and how about you, OG? Where are you sitting right now for Keep 36?
Well, I mean, technically, I could be there this weekend if I wanted to. So I will preface this by saying I do have a slightly different goal set. I'm currently sitting at about 4.6 billion power. My goal has been to get to 5 billion power before the end of the year. So that's a personal goal of mine. So I'll be utilizing the majority of my resources through my family members that I utilize to gather that up to continue to build that. But let's say, for example, I wasn't taking that next step of building that extra 400 million power to get that 5 billion. There's a couple of ways that for both of you and for those that are on the call, the obtaining of the 5.8 really that's your primary focus and goal anyway. You need to get those attack generals up, whether it's Electra or Alfred or Roland or whoever you're using for your PvP generals, getting them up and specializing them. You can obtain that 5.8 level like you were talking about before. If you're at level 38 EXP, does take some doing to get to that point, but it can be done. But the easiest way to do it is just to get the plant gear, one piece per general. I currently am at 5.8 with Roland, and I'm only at, let me give you an example here. I'll pull him up real quick on my screen. I'm not even at full specialty yet. I'm not even, I only have the first set maxed, level 2 and 3. I'm not even there yet, and yet I'm still able to obtain that, but that is with a piece of plant gear, the new gear that we have up there. So I'm just Grandmaster on Specialty 2 and Specialty 3, so I haven't even got to Genius yet on that one. So, and I can get 5.8 million, but that is with Nidhogg too. So dragons are key. So understanding where you're at and with your game, depending on where you're at. I mean, obviously being in an alliance that's a fighter alliance that does a lot of battlefields is going to help you out a lot for leveling up your generals. Getting to that point, running a tremendous amount of rallies is also a key component. You can gain and obtain a lot of monarch experience and general experience just through rallies. And that's really how we kind of built our alliance. GoM was built on rallies from back in the days at the beginning of 82 before our first merge with 40. So getting those levels up is really important, but getting successful in battlefield and having people in your alliance that are geared towards those battlefields can get those generals to a position where you need to be. Also obtaining rune stones, which is, as everybody knows, can be a challenge. You can get a significant amount of rune stones in that. So those are the kind of the key elements that I've been focusing my game on is through battlefield, qualifications for all stars, whether it's Bach or Bog or the new challenge right now, which we did qualify for top 16. I think we placed, is it seventh?
Yeah, seventh, yeah.
Seventh in ours. So, I mean, we're fortunate to be in an alliance that is really forward focused on those battlefield aspects of it. But for me, spending that $85 to get to that level and getting to that K36, K36 is nice, opening up the aspects of the victory column, but having other people in your alliance that are willing to climb the ladder fully through the garden, getting full sets of plant gear for their generals and being able to piggyback off them is definitely been a benefit for me. But for myself personally, unlocking that, I've got 2 generals just under 5.8, but I've got a piece of a ring gear. I got one more piece to buy, which I will buy in the next couple of days and get at that level. But that's my comfort level. I mean, I'm comfortable spending $125 a month. That's kind of my what I put aside for my budget for myself, and pretty good at sticking at that. So if you're in those levels, you can get those pieces. You can get those monarch pieces up and obtain those over a reasonable period of time. So covering that first victory column so that K36 can start, which really then in turn allows me to do some beneficial things like and also, very important, sorry about this, Holy Palace. Make sure your Holy Palace is at 35 because you want to get that up to 36. Yep. But then getting Embassy to 36, getting your War Hall to 36, those are all benefits of that. Those are the biggest benefits for me is taking those key component buildings to 36. Not necessarily the keep, but getting those other buildings that allow me to be more successful in battle.
Exactly. And that's the dragon is something I hadn't even considered. You guys have Nidhogg. I don't have Nidhogg. So I've got the Dragon of Thebes, which is 1.32 million power maxed, I think. What's Nidhogg?
Yeah. 1.28.
1.28, okay.
So it's enough. It's enough to get there. I mean, you can get there with Thebes. You can actually get there with Norway. Yeah. The now new sacred dragons are actually higher power than your pasture dragons. Yeah. So whether it's Kelpic or Fafnir, those are lower level dragons. Yeah. But you need those dragons to get you to the positions to qualify for those other elements. So depending on what continent you're on, getting to that top 100 to opening up those is really important. So
yeah, and I like what you said earlier too. Go ahead.
To be fair, I'm not quite unlocked Nidhogg yet. It's unlocked, but in the process of leveling up. The guy is a beast and eats a ton of resources.
Yeah, I don't know why they eat equipment anyway. Don't they eat real food? But that's another question for another day. I like what you said earlier about you're not in a rush to necessarily get the keep. The keep doesn't do anything for you. It's what the keep unlocks, right? It's all these side buildings and stuff. But yeah, there's only one tier of troops that's going to be unlocked with Keep 40 anyway, and it's going to be a long time before that happens. So there's nothing wrong with taking your time, because I feel like we're all going to be limited in some way or another along the long road to Keep 40 anyway.
I mean, to that point, it took me an entire year to get from Keep 30 to Keep 35.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I mean, I do anticipate 40 taking longer than that, but I'm committed to that aspect of it and where I'm at in my game. But it took long to get from 30 to 35. So, I mean, there are coiners out there that'll spend, $10,000, $20,000 a month. That's not me,
Yeah.
I hate to even say how much I put into this game in 5 years, but I don't spend that a month. That's for sure. So.
Yeah, I know. It's scary sometimes to look back and, whoa, what have I done? Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the next...
Especially when the wife asks me how much I spend annually, I like to break it down. Let's talk about what I spend per day.
Yeah, let's do that one. Or as Aydle always likes to say, hey, I'm just buying a couple coffees a day. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, that's all it is. Buy a $5 pack. That's just a trip to Tim Hortons, man. That's how yeah.
How many packs could you buy instead of golfing?
Hey, don't.
He gets free golf. He gets free golf.
That's true.
All right. So some information for people that don't necessarily have the same resources and information because they're not necessarily in a big alliance. One of the biggest challenges for people getting to Keep 40 and getting everything unlocked is probably going to be the victory column. So the first victory column level is requiring 2 generals at 5.8 million power, and that is a requirement for Keep 36. Fortunately, I don't think victory column and 2 and 3 are actually requirements for anything other than just to improve itself and to do features and things like that.
Victory column 3 is a requirement for Dragon Cliff 2.
Right, so it's for features and for upgrades and things like that, but you can still get to Keep 40 without doing 2 and 3. So let me give you a quick rundown of what 2 and 3 look like, because it's going to be part of our discussion later. Victory column 2 is going to require 6 generals to be at 5.8 million power, so not just the 2, there's the 6. And victory column 3 will require 3 generals to be at 6.3 million power and also have 3 completely maxed specialty generals. So first, I'm going to discuss my view of getting to Keep 40 and to when I might actually unlock victory column 2 and 3 and so on, and then you guys can take your turns as well. For me, victory column 1 will probably take a month or 2 because I'll have to decide what I'm going to do. Am I actually going to buy some plant gear? I also saw a post on the Evony Facebook page that they are planning to release the civilization equipment, so I'm going to definitely wait to see what that entails. Maybe it's going to be boss drops, maybe there are going to be more packages. I don't really know, but I want more information before I make that decision. But victory column 2, I'm going to get to Keep 40 probably long before I get to victory column 2 and victory column 3. This makes me think of the Wonder, actually. My Wonder I still only have at Wonder 2. I don't have Wonder 3 because some of the requirements were just not achievable for me. So I don't even know if I will at any point get to victory column 3 with 6.3 million power and 3 max specialty generals. The reason I don't think so is because after 1 full year of runestone chest gathering, I am still not completely done with the specialty of my first general. So by the time I am able to, at this rate, to get 3 max specialty generals, assuming the drop rate doesn't change, then I don't know, that's 2 years from now. Is this even going to be relevant at this point? Probably not. There'll probably be a new update. Keep 45. Oh, don't say it, right? Keep 45. But that's where I'm at. How about you, Aydle? What do you think?
Victory column 1, as we're talking, I kind of made the decision that tomorrow I'll just spend another 50 bucks and get the stupid thing and get it unlocked. But victory column 1, I'll probably just cave and do that tomorrow. Victory column 2 with the 6 generals, that's probably going to be a tough barrier for me. I think I'm going to have to wait and see how much power gain we get when our generals are, max level. And I'm really hoping that Evony makes the Plantagenet items available by some means other than purchasing, because I don't know whether I'm willing to purchase that many of them.
Or if not that one, then the civilization equipment that's supposed to be released.
Yeah.
Something.
Because from my point of view, we have 4 strong dragons that you could get your generals, I think, pretty easily with those 4 strong dragons to that 5.8. The other 2 would probably require 2 or 3 pieces of Plantagenet. So if you have to buy all of those, that adds up to probably a $600 investment in gear for that unlock.
And I'm pretty sure they are planning to release boss drops and some kind of upgraded scrolls, and that's probably what OG was trying to say right there. What did you have to say, OG?
Well, yeah, so I just wanted to and none of this has been confirmed yet, but I've talked to some people who are in beta running, and the plant gear is fragment based currently. So the anticipation is, and I don't want to put too much of a false hope out there, but based upon the fact that it's fragments right now, you get 30 fragments to open up a piece of the plant gear, and you get all 30 in one purchase. I am anticipating in the next 6 to 12 months that gear is going to be obtainable, whether it's through relics or through bosses or through some sort of achievements that don't require cash investment. They put it out there now to get those who want to get it now.
The rushers,
to obtain it. Yeah, but I do anticipate that in the next 6 to 12 months that gear is going to be, it's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of work and investment and time. And you always talk about that, Bemo, as far as, you have the choice of investing time and investing money or both to get your game where you want it to be. So I do anticipate that occurring. And, I don't know our audience who we have in right now, how long they've all been playing, but, just as a quick example here, I remember going back to, getting the glory and the wonder, the King of Generals, and how much of a challenge we all thought it was to get 6 generals at 3,500 power. And that was with dragon gear at the time, right? So now, so I can't emphasize enough to those who are listening on the importance of materials through Vikings, obtaining that gear, getting your monarch power up, getting your position up to get as many subs as possible, to get to that Archduke level just by killing bosses and killing monsters. You can do a lot of things in this game without having to spend and put yourself in a great position to put yourself at a high level with 9 subs. And but you have to get the ACH gear. You have to get your generals max leveled up, and those are all things that are obtainable without having to spend any money. It just takes a little time and a little hard work.
Yeah, a lot of hard work. Definitely a lot of hard work. But yeah, I totally agree with you. So much of it is obtainable for anybody that just wants to put in the work. There are some things that money can buy over people that don't spend, but you should be able to get most of the way there by not spending too much, or maybe even not spending at all. It's just a matter of time. Aydle, you were going to say something.
For me, and those who have a budget similar to mine, I plan on buying the 2-piece of Plantagenet to unlock the victory column early. But at that point, I'm going to stop buying Plantagenet in the hopes of the fragments being released and me being able to work towards that slower. The victory column 3, though, I don't spend enough for that to be rushed. So I'm in the same boat as you, Bamon, for that. It will likely take 2 years, I'm guessing, maybe even more, to unlock 3 full specialty generals. Because I'm close-ish, I think about 3 million more, which is 3,000 runes for my first general to complete on the last unlock there. And I think on average, I might get about 150 a week. So that alone is still, months away for me.
All right, I'm going to take a second and just look at chat here. I have a couple questions. I'm going to try to keep to just ones that are related to what we're talking about here. Some questions like, as a Keep 32, should I focus on going to Keep 35, or should I be focusing on tech and troops and climb at a slow pace? Like, what do you guys suggest? Anybody can take that.
So for me, it's all about unlocking T14. I wouldn't build any troops other than enough to build a boss that you're comfortable with killing with 0 wounded. Troops, in my opinion, the important things of advancing are getting your forge level up so that you can build the ACH gear, which is a key component. The ability to upgrade gear from Dragon's gear to other options that are available to you. Those are the things. Setting yourself up to win. So, although having all these beautiful, purple and gold subs are awesome, more important is quantity of subs. A green Japan is only 4% difference than a purple Japan in regards to attack power. So don't get hung up on the color of the sub, but get yourself into a position of getting your sub levels up to maximum possible. So,
yeah, I
agree
agree
my
with what you're
suggestion
saying.
to
Okay.
yeah,
Go ahead.
my
You
suggestion to players that are growing is not to focus too heavily on military. Keep your bubble up, and instead invest all your resources in increasing your production of resources, and that might have to include creating secondary accounts that also focus on resource production. And once you get that kind of under control, you'll see your growth start to increase significantly, where Keep 35 becomes a non-issue. And at that point, you can focus on other things.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on what some of these guys were saying before. As a Keep 32, you don't necessarily want to be focusing on troops, because when you do that, you're investing the resources you could be putting into permanent things in your city that can't be taken away, like buildings. You're investing it into something that's disposable. Your troops, one day you'll wake up, you'll lose your bubble, and your troops are gone. Nobody can come and destroy your keep. So I would always suggest to get as far as you can building-wise before you build up too many troops. Now that's a different story where, like, if you're already in the many billions and you already have the troops, I'm not going to say, hey, go get rid of your troops to build your city up. That doesn't make sense. But if you already have the troops, continue on, unless it's a small amount. But yeah, generally you want to wait until you get to max level so that you have a steadier pace to get your keep level up, and you have those unlocks like your forge that Oji was talking about, or the other higher tier troops. And since there's that really big limiter right now at Keep 36, Keep 35 is a great place to stop and start building up troops if you don't spend a lot of money, because you're going to be there for a while, so you might as well. All right. We were talking about rushing and how fast we're going to rush, and how other players are rushing to Keep 40. So I had a fun little question that I posed to these guys earlier and asked them to come up with a number. I don't think it's going to be an accurate number, and I don't think that it's something that anyone could actually answer, because there are many different ways you can spend money. But here's the question. Suppose a player is an average Keep 35 player, somebody that's been around for a while, has an average keep. maybe they're a couple billion, I don't know. An average player, not Kranz, not Sir Philip, not some of these bigger players, an average Keep 35 player, maybe they just hit Keep 35 recently. If you had to place a dollar value to what it would cost to push from that place to Keep 40 before 2022, so within the next 2 months, and also unlock all the important buildings like the victory column and stuff, what do you think that number would be? I'm saving mine for the end because that's a tough question. Who wants to go first?
I can venture a guess. I think that Keep 40 wouldn't cost all that much, assuming the average player has access to the resources needed for that, which that's debatable. Yeah. But assuming they don't have to purchase resources and they're near like where I am or where you are in terms of specialty generals, I think the rune stones alone to get to unlocking Victory Column 3 would run you in the tens of thousands of dollars, I think.
My guess is going to be that it would, for same thing. Runestone chest to get, if you're an average player, you probably don't have access to some of the Wonder Dragons, so you're going to be a little limited there. You're going to have to purchase equipment to meet the general requirements for power, and you're going to have to refine like crazy to get those power levels up and to have useful generals. I'm going to say 50,000.
Yeah.
So in the next 2 months, in order for somebody, because you could buy the appropriate gear if they're an average K35 right now, they're going to have some decent generals out there. I don't want to get into. I'll wait to get into the specifics of generals here if the question comes up. But yeah, you could purchase your way to those levels by buying the plant gear, climbing those ladders up on a continuous basis, getting the speeds. I think the res would be the biggest obstacle. If you can get the res resources available for that, I would say just in purchases of appropriate gear, $50,000 to $100,000 to get there in the next 2 months.
Yeah, and I don't even want to think for a minute of how much it would cost if you actually bought the resources, because you don't get a good deal buying resources in this game at all.
If you had to buy the resources, I think you'd be $250,000.
Yeah, I think so too. Wow. All right. So lastly, before we conclude here, the last thing I want to talk about is, because of these limitations, a lot of people might get stuck behind at Keep 35 and so on, while some of the players are able to jump all the way up to Keep 40 pretty quickly, get some unlocks if they are heavy spenders. This was always the case, right? Like even at Keep 35, Keep 30, there are players that are going to reach that level faster. But even though you were lagging behind in the past, it was just a limitation of resources. How many resources you have and how many speed ups you have is all it took. So you were working your way, you're chugging along, you're getting there, and you see the light at the end of the tunnel. But that's no longer the case with some of these limitations that just stop you short. So what do you think it's going to look like a couple months, maybe even a year, 2 years from now, with some players at 40 with all of these unlocked for all of these bonuses from buildings like the victory column and the tactics and all that stuff? What do you think it'll look like for the majority of players?
I think there's going to be a large disparity between, there already is. I would hate to be on Ixal or Kranz's bad side. I'm really happy I'm on their team in Battlefield.
Me too.
But
we're going to be
coming up against we're going to be coming up against alliances and Shalons here real quick, where we're going to have kind of a few of those players on the other side too. So it'll be interesting to be on the receiving end of it for a little bit. But I imagine that as time goes on and they unlock their victory columns and their dragon cliffs and start investing into their dragon talents and get those maxed out and their Plante gear is like Ixel has a full set. And once that's, fully refined, that general is going to be significantly better than anything, the average player has. And when he unlocks his, dragon talents and stuff, I'm excited to see the capabilities of it, but I'm a little scared of it too, knowing that that's personally not achievable for me.
Yeah,
so
I'm so happy that I only encounter the brute force of that kind of an attack in Battlefield where I'm going to get my troops back. Because if I had to do that in the open world PvP and worry about them just watching me as I unbubble somewhere, I don't think I would like that very much. What are we sending now? Like 15 million power?
It's going to be much scarier.
How big is our rally size now? Like it's when he launches, I think we're at like 15 million troops.
15 million, and I think he was saying that his Plantagenet bonus was not working. So I think we should be higher than that.
It's absolutely crazy.
Eventually, we'll be at 20 to 21 million.
Holy, that's just insanity. Yeah, I don't want to take one of those attacks. I don't.
So what I would say is for the average players out there is what's your motivation for playing the game? What do you get out of it? What do you enjoy? Why are you doing it? Obviously, to be the top tier is going to take a lot of cash or some just extraordinary amount of expertise associated with it. But I would consider myself to be an average player that spends a little bit above average investment into the game itself. But if for an average player, what's your motivation? What do you want to get out of it? For me, it's Battlefields. So that was where I changed my focus, and primarily it wasn't necessarily PvP. Somebody who's building a good base at a K35 can PvP well on most servers without too much worry. Do you want to play SBS? Is it server versus server? Is it Battlefield? Where's your motivation at? And if you can get with a good alliance that works well as a team together, and you can create and have some fun and set some goals. It also depends on what continent you're on. If you're on our continent, it's a little bit more challenging than maybe some of the other continents that some of the players, you don't have the quantity of the big players. I know Sir Philip is 21 billion power on a newer continent, but he's few and far between. There's not, like on our server, there's 500 players that are above my level, or 250 players above my level. So it really just depends on what your motivation is, and if you enjoy the game, enjoy the tactics of it, and you're with a good group of people and the community aspect of it, I think you can get to your goals where you want to be and be very successful at it. I think a K35, K36, K37 can be very, very appropriate in the next 2 years before any future advancements occur.
And I would also suggest to people to not necessarily, like I read in chat quite often, like how do you get that big without spending money and that kind of thing. Keep in mind that the servers that we're from, like I'm originally from server 40, that came out I think a month after the game was released. You would remember, Aydle. It was somewhere around there. You're the one that introduced me to the game. It was fresh.
It was 2018.
Yeah, so
I think.
No, I think it was even earlier than that. I don't remember. But the game was released at whatever date, and I think server 40 was up. They released a lot really quick. So we were one of the first ones out there. So we've been around for 5 years plus. And some of you guys that are on like the several hundred servers and stuff, and you're looking at players that are 4 billion power in some of these streams that we do, like everyone here is 3 to 5 billion power, somewhere around there. You have to keep in mind that we've been here for a long time, and we have the advantage of being in a very, very large alliance. Some of the other players in other alliances on our server are much smaller than us, but that's because we hit them. We don't let them grow. But if we did, they could potentially be as big as us. So don't compare yourself to people on continent 1. Compare yourself to where you're at, where your server's at, and like OG said, play the game for whatever you want to play it for. If it's for hunting bosses and for socializing and whatever, if it's for Battlefield, server, you pick the game that you want to play and you work for goals that you set for that purpose. Any last words, OG Aydle, before we end here?
No, I appreciate it. Appreciate the time. And if anybody has any questions or, any additional on that, appreciate what you do, Bemo. Thank you.
Any last questions in chat?
If you guys do have questions, leave some comments down in the YouTube video, and one of the three of us will try to answer it.
Alrighty, well, I definitely want to thank you two guys. It's a very different setup for this video, but I super appreciate the short notice and being able to join me here on short notice, because it's pretty different, and we have 40 plus people watching. That was very informational, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that are appreciative of the knowledge we've shared. And a lot of people are not watching because it's 11 p.m. here, and if they're in the eastern side of the continent or in other parts of the world, they'll catch it later. And I'm sure there will be more than one comment saying that they appreciate you guys, and I definitely do too. So thanks again for deciding to join me here.
The invite.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.